Hello, everyone. This is your main man, Blackfoot, and I hope everyone is feeling fine today. You guys and girls, do me a favor and hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated, as well as that subscribe button. Hitting both of these buttons will help my channel out, and your time and effort will not go unnoticed. So, with that being said, let's dive on in. Today I'm talking about the image of God. And right here in front of you, I have three of them. I have three Viking Nordic gods. One in the middle is called Odin. The one to the left is called the god of Thor. And the other one is the god called Freya. Now, what is very important is that depending on your situation, you can call upon one of these gods, and through this wooden carving, your prayer will be telecommunicated to wherever they are at, right? So, for instance, you don't know something, you're trying to figure out something, you call the all knowing God of Odin, the one in the middle. Your friend trying to stab you in the back, you don't know, whatever the case may be, you trying to figure out if it's true or not. You called Odin and whatnot, you whisper sweet nothings in his ear, and that telecommunication, that 800 number, should reach up to wherever he's at and should bring back that information to you, and you decide on whether or not your friend is trying to backstab you or not. And to my left, you're going through battle, you're trying to slay your enemies, they getting the best of you. You hold up Thor, the god of Thor, and your enemies should see the god of Thor. They should tremble and crumble, and they should fall down. And next you know, Thor have delivered you from your enemy. And for my ladies out there, you is not fertile or whatnot, you call on Freya right here. You rub her in a bed, whatever the case may be. You say a couple of sweet nothings in her ear that night, and Freya should go within your womb and give you more eggs, and to make you more fertile, and to give you more children. But you got to have the right image for the right job. And here also with my man Greeks. Here you have the Greeks, same thing. You have the three brothers. You have Poseidon, hope I'm pronouncing his name right. You have Zeus, and you have the god of Hades. Here you have Poseidon right here. You can see the dolphins right here for my fishermen and whatnot. You having trouble feeding your family. You call upon him. You rub his knees a couple of times, and the fish should just jump in the boat. Your fish. Fish just jump in the boat. Your family is fed. You good to go. Here, same thing with Zeus, right? You trying to find out if your husband, your wife is cheating on you. You call the all-knowing Zeus, and his, you rub on his chest, whatever the case may be. His information should teleport down to you, and they will let you know whether your spouse is cheating on you. And also right here, you have Hades right here, right? You got ghosts, you sleep at night, the ancestors, well, maybe, whatever case may be, the ghosts or the dead trying to talk to you at night. You trying to get some information because, they keep you up at night. So you call on Hades, you rub his booty or whatever the case may be. You clip his toenails or whatever the case may be. Kiss his feet. He'll bring you back the information. Whatever type of offering that they need, they will give you the information. But what I'm saying is that you got to have the right image for the right job. You're not going to call an electrician to do a plumber's job. You know what I mean? You got to have the right 800 number, the right image, right? You're not going to put your left foot on your right foot, and you're not going to put your right foot on your left foot. You get what I'm saying? So this is what is very important, right? The 800 number is the same as the image. You got to have the right image for the right job. You got to have the right tool for the right job. You're not going to go to the gas station and thinking you're going to fit in some extra large condom when you need an extra small, And next thing you know, you're in child support court, the judge looking at you crazy, and you up there saying to the judge, like, hey, man, look, I had the right condom. And the judge looking at you like, no, you didn't. The DNA test said you the father. Now you ass out, she got you crying, whatnot, and now she got all your money, and, that's it. It's a wrap. So you got to have the right tool for the right job. You got to have the right image for the right job. Now, with that being said, let's dive on in. Here, in the King James Bible, we have here the Most High giving the image to these people. Let's read it. So God created man in his own image. In an image of God, he created he, male and female. Now, what is very important is not only just the image, but the job description. Like I just said before, whichever type of job you want to have done, whatever type of prayer, you got to have the right image for the right job. So here, we're going to look at these people their image, but we're going to look at their job description, right? These gods that the God has created in his image, these so-called gods, we're going to look at their job description. Here, as you can see right here, here, right? Let's get a good information. We're going to start there. As you can see right here, God blessed them. And God said to him, the Most High, said, be fruitful and multiply, and to replenish the earth, and to subdue it, and to have dominion, right? This is their job description, these so-called image of God. That's very important. The image of God, and here's their description, right? Like I just said before, you gotta have the right tool to do the right job. So we have the image of God, and here's their job description. To have dominion, to subdue. It's not to hug you, right? The job description is not to have humanitarian taste. It's not to listen to your problems. These job description of God saying to subdue and to have dominion. For example, let's look at the zoos, right? We have the zoos and zookeepers and whatnot, or a circus. Circus trainers tell these animals to jump through hoops and whatnot. These lions and tigers jumping through these hoops. And you gotta say to yourself, man, they already trapped. They have dominion on them. They subdue them. The question is, how did they do it? There's a number of ways to do it, but I know one particular way is food, right? Food. Now these animals are starving. So when you deplete these animals of their natural resources and whatnot, they say to themselves, okay, through time and whatnot, I got to jump through this hoop to get me a steak. So the lion and tiger jump through the hoop to get them a steak. They have dominion on them. So they be like, oh man, I gotta do what this dude want me to do. And they jump through the hoops time after time and time again, until one day they get tired of it. They say, look, I'm tired of eating this gazelle. I'm tired of this steak, and he getting on my nerves. So all of a sudden, guess what? Animals gone wild. So now the circus trainer, he's been deleted. And you find out what? This so-called trainer is not truly an image of God, because God can't be destroyed. This a true image, or should I say a true God. So this so-called image of God perpetrating the fraud, subduing these animals, so when the animals get tired of it, they get mauled. So, guess what? It's an image. It's a facade. It's the same thing when you look in the mirror, right? You go in the mirror and you say to yourself, oh, this is a reflection of me. But it's not to you. It's a reflection of you. It's an image of you. And that image is not real. Understand what I'm saying, right? It's the same thing with humans. Now you say to yourself, like I just gave you the example of how did they get the animals, it's the same thing with the humans, right? With us. When you deplete people of their resources and whatnot, and with a little bit of elbow grease, with a whip or a bullet or whatnot, you get people to do what they want you to do. And that's what they do. That's what they have done, right? And now you are up under their dominion, up under their seduction. But you had to say to yourself, how did this happen, right? They just come in, and you got a farm, you got whatever kind, you got your own resources. They didn't just come in and take it, not initially, right? Because their numbers are not up, right? Because you're going to do battle. That's too hard. There's a number of ways that they have done it. They find out what makes you tick, right? They find out what makes you tick, and they gather these resources, and then they get you accustomed to them, to get you addicted to it, whatever the case may be. Whatever, they find out what it is that you like, coffee, whatever the case may be, right? Sugar, cookies, diamonds. Back then it was change, trinkets, whatever the case may be. They traded. So next thing you know, they in and you want more of it. And next thing you know, they got you. That's one way how to do it. The other way is to play the victim, right? They come in like, oh, you're not as fast as them. You're not as quick as them. So they be like, how do you do this? They come in with the smile or whatnot, the feebleness, the victimhood. How do you do this? And next thing you know, you teaching them all the tricks of the trade. And next thing you know, they're going upside your head, right? And taking things. And there's multiple of them. They got their numbers up. This is how they do it. That's just a couple of ways on how they manipulate to pull on your heartstrings to get in. And then next thing you know, they got you. Here's another example of that, right? All right. All right. Now, these people that the Father gave in His image has the image and they have the job description, right? Now here we got Adam. This man of the dust, right? The Father said there was no one to till the ground. We all heard the story. So the Father breathed into his nostril and he became a living soul. But his job description was what? His job description was to till the ground. Right here. This was his job description, right? His job description was to till the ground. His job description wasn't to subdue. His job description was not to have dominion. His job description was to what? Till the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils. So we got two different people here, right? We got two different people. Now you already know. I have to go back and say he breathed into his nostrils. We already know that, right? The functionality of these people have two different dynamics. You get what I'm saying? One is to subdue, to take, to have control over things. The one is to till the ground and to listen to the Most High. So you got to understand what is going on here. You have the image, the falsehood of the image, and you have the men that have direct contact with the God. Get what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying, right? One is in an image to do something, and the one who has direct contact with him. All right? So let's continue. Okay, 18. As you can see right here, the Most High said that it's not good for man to be alone. And here we have, going down the line, here come Eve, right? The bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, da 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 da. We already know that, right? Now, here we go. This is the fun part right here. Now, we already know the job descriptions of these people who are in the image of God. We know what they are capable of doing. And here is one of them approaching Eve, right? The woman said, you hear the trickery. We already heard the story. I'm not going to go through all that, right? The Father said, the serpent said, you should not surely die, because, you would be like a God, knowing good and evil, and da 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 da. He's saying all type of sweet nothings in his ear, but she already got the 411 on don't listen to these people because you should surely die. So we have a battle here of the mental aspects of it. We have the cunning people who are in the image of God, which are called daywalkers. That is the biblical name, aka serpent, aka tree of good and evil. Well, we're going to stick with the image of God. This is what these people are, the image of God. So here's one of them coming up on Eve, saying a bunch of sweet nuts to him, saying everything opposite of what was told to her not to do. So you have a battle going here. Not really necessarily a battle, but we have a conflict of interest here. One is saying that, hey, listen to me, and the other one got commandments already, so she laid down her law. And apparently she did, to listen to these people who are in the image of God, which the Father told her not to do. But see, here's the essence of everything. The image of what I am getting at is the background of what these, the job description, right? The image changes forms, right? But the job description does not. That is very important, because let me tell you something here, right? Just like all these different gods here, right? Gods change. They all change. You see, they all change, but they still have the descriptions on what they're doing, right? They doesn't change. They have they call it's more like a one-trick pony, right? It's like a one-trick pony that they do the same thing over and over, and you know how they operate. So they may change jackets, change hats, but they still function. Their functionality is the same way, and that's what I want you guys and girls to understand. That's how we got tricked. You know, they change faces, but their job description have not. And that is the essence of this lesson here. So I hope you guys and girls have learned something. I hope I gave you guys something to understand. You know, you can rub your God, but the Most High told us, do not do that. You know, right here, plenty of times. Right? He told them, do not listen to their images. Right? Don't do it.